Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 8th Annual Seoul Climate Energy Conference 2021. I am Corinne Valarche, the MC of today's conference and a student of the Green Business and Policy Program. It is a great honor and pleasure for me to be here today at this special conference co-organized by the KAIST Graduate School of Green Growth and Coalition for Our Common Future. This year's theme is turning carbon neutrality into action, challenges and opportunities. We have invited leaders and experts from all over the world in the fields of climate and energy to create a platform for discussion on the topics of sustainable development, green growth, and radical solutions to the carbon neutrality challenge. Today we will have 6 plenaries on the themes of 2022 Climate Energy Agenda, Republic of Korea presidential candidates, achieving Korea's carbon neutrality target, student research presentations, green finance and ESG, waste-free society and circular economy, and last but not least, voices from the young. Members and participants will have the unique opportunity to take part in this multidisciplinary, transgenerational conference, and due to COVID-19, this year, it will be held online and will be live streamed through KAIST's official YouTube channel. Thank you again for your full participation in today's conference, and we hope it will be a meaningful experience for all of you. With this, the opening ceremony of the 8th Annual Seoul Climate Energy Conference 2021 will now begin. Please welcome Lee Kwang-hyung, the President of KAIST, who has prepared a special video message for us. Let's take a look.
Hello everyone and welcome to the 8th Seoul Climate Energy Conference. Thank you to all our distinguished speakers and at home and abroad and all the participants watching online. I would especially like to extend my appreciation to the Minister of Environment, Jonger and the Mayor of Seoul, Seoul, and for your congratulatory remarks. Thank you to Secretary General Kim Pan and former Prime Minister of Denmark, Lars Løkke Rasmussen, for your special messages. I also would like to thank the presidential candidate for major parties for presenting on their climate and energy policy directions at this conference. Thank you to Professor Kim Sang-hyuk, Professor Ji-hong, and the Chairman of Coalition for Our Common Future, Yoon-gu, and their teams for making this conference possible. Distinguished participants, this pandemic seems to be a wake-up call for failing to care for our ecosystem. We are also witnessing more and more extreme weather events worldwide, and addressing climate risks has become an important priority of the global community. The Korean government declared its intention to go carbon neutral by 2050 in line with other major economies. This is another crucial step forward. However, turning carbon neutrality in action will require rapid and extensive innovations in energy and environmental technologies, financial and policy innovations, international collaborations, and the public awareness and active participation of the younger generations. In that sense, the theme of today's conference, Turning Carbon Neutrality into Action, Challenges and Opportunities, resonate as a crucial mindset we must adopt to reverse climate change. I look forward to this conference serving as an opportunity to collect and disseminate our wisdom for the prosperity and sustainability of the entire planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Lee. Next, I would like to welcome Jonger, Minister of Environment for the Republic of Korea, who will provide some congratulatory remarks.
Good morning. I am Han Jonger, the Minister of Environment of the Republic of Korea. Allow me to begin by conveying my sincere appreciation to President Lee Kwang-young of KAIST, Professor Ji-young, the head of KAIST Graduate School of Green Growth, and Chairperson Yeo Hoon-gu of the Coalition for a Common Future for hosting this conference in such a timely manner during the Carbon Neutral Week. Let me also thank Professor Robert Stevens of Harvard University for his keynote speech and the distinguished speakers and guests for participating in person virtually. Despite the devastating pandemic, we, the global community, joined forces in adopting the Glasgow Climate Pact. In Glasgow, we have stressed the urgency of enhancing ambitions to keep the 1.5 degrees goal alive, phasing down the coal power, and scaling up the action and support the enhanced adaptive capacity of developing countries. We stood united, calling for the global shift to carbon neutral society. To this urgent call for action by the international community, Korea has already given its answer in Glasgow. The answer was to reduce greenhouse gas emission by 40% from 2018 level by 2030, phase out coal-fired power generation by 2050, and promote cooperation with developing countries, including North Korea, in their effort for climate change response. The message is clear. We vow to bring about changes in all areas, energy, industry, transportation, even in our daily lives, to become carbon neutral. The next decade, therefore, will be crucial for us to keep those vows and turn the words into action. Now is our time to reverse the climate crisis, save our future, and build forward better. In this regard, the theme of today's conference, Turning Carbon Neutrality into Action, Challenges and Opportunities, is pointing us to the right direction. Finally, I wish today's conference will give us meaningful insight into the rapid changes in all sectors and unlock new opportunities in a carbon neutral future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Han. Next, I would like to welcome Oh Se-hoon, Mayor of Seoul for the Republic of Korea, who has prepared a special video message for us. Let's take a look.
반갑습니다. 서울시장
Greetings, I'm Oh
오세훈입니다.
Se-hoon, Mayor of Seoul Metropolitan City. I'd like to congratulate the successful opening of the 8th Seoul Climate Energy Conference. I'd like to express my gratitude first to President Lee Kwang-young of KAIST, Mr. Ji-young, head of KAIST Graduate School of Green Growth, Chairperson Yeo Hoon-gu of Coalition for Our Common Future, Mr. Kim Sang-yeol, President of Jeju Research Institute, and all of their staff members for making this event possible. Globally, the new climate regime was actually discussed in 2014, and that year saw the beginning of the Seoul Climate Energy Conference. Celebrating the 8th birthday, the conference is about to discuss the carbon neutrality this time. Facing the COVID-19 pandemic and climate change, the humankind, in order to survive, has collected their wisdoms together to curb the temperature rise by no more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, and the COP26 recently achieved a meaningful outcome as leaders agreed to set a higher target. Seoul is also working hard to be part of this international effort. Last September, a blueprint of the future Seoul, Seoul Vision 2030, was announced, which also mentioned the importance of EV distribution, charging infrastructure, zero waste campaign, and these carbon neutrality tactics are being implemented one after another. Going forward, Seoul will continue to work harder to fight climate change and create more sustainable future. Once again, congratulations on the successful opening of the conference, and as we are joined by like-minded experts, I hope that this conference can generate a framework for carbon neutrality and create a venue where detailed action plans can be discussed in a constructive manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Oh. Next, please can I have your special attention because we have received a video message from Ban Ki-moon, the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations. Let's take a listen to his message now.
At the outset, let me express my heartfelt congratulations for the opening of the 8th Seoul Climate Energy Conference. It is my great honor and privilege to take part in this very meaningful event today. I would like to thank President Lee Kwang-hyung of KAIST, Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, and Professor Kim Sang-hyuk, founder of Coalition for Our Common Future, co-organizers of this conference, for inviting me to deliver a special message on carbon neutrality. I also would like to recognize the online presence of the Honorable Lars Løkke Rasmussen, the 25th and 27th Prime Minister of Denmark. I expect his valuable contributions to this event. Ladies and gentlemen, our planet is getting sicker and grayer. I sincerely appeal to all the world leaders to do more for realizing carbon neutrality by 2050. The COP26 summit, recently held in Glasgow, United Kingdom, brought parties together to accelerate action towards the goal of the Paris Climate Change Agreement and the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. I commend the efforts of the leadership of the host country, United Kingdom, for attempting to make progress at the summit. However, my assessment on the outcome of the summit cannot be fully generous. It was successful, but not satisfactory. Many member countries did not present their NDC, nationally determined contributions, to the summit for cutting carbon emissions by 2030. For the first time at the COP conference, there was an explicit plan to reduce use of coal. However, countries only agreed to a weaker commitment to, quote, phase down rather than phase out coal. Carbon neutrality 2050 was challenged by India and watered down to, quote, by or around the middle of the century instead of carbon neutrality 2050. Those countries who are not committed to carbon neutrality 2050 should realize that they can try to avoid their international obligations for the noble cause of saving our planet, but they cannot avoid catastrophic damage, which will occur to them in the not-too-distant future. It is clear to me that collective and strong will of the international community is the only essential tool to save our planet, which is getting sicker. I share concerns of many observers who claim that the result of COP26 was not enough to contain temperature rises below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Current pledges at the COP26 will only limit global warming to about 2.4 degrees Celsius. The nature continues to send a warning to all human beings. Nature has its own way. We cannot negotiate with nature. COVID-19 pandemic is one of the signals. We should listen to the voice of the nature. Omicron demonstrates that me-first nationalism does not work. International cooperation and coordination are required. Advanced countries should go hand in hand with the developing countries. The My People Only vaccination created a more dangerous variant of corona, which is Omicron variant. In this regard, we should not forget the importance of adaptation of the climate change. While most of our efforts have been focused in mitigation, we need to invest wisely to adaptation to overcome the climate risks. In particular, the developing countries are under stress of lack of resources for adaptation. Unfortunately, the pledge by richer countries to provide $100 billion a year by 2020 was not carried out. However, fortunately, COP26 pledged to double the financing on adaptation by significantly increasing funds to help poor countries cope with the effects of climate change and make clean energy possible. I also would like to take note of several positive side events of the summit. First is the US-China agreement. It pledged to cooperate more over the next decade in areas including methane emissions and the switch to clean energy. China has previously been reluctant to tackle domestic coal emissions, so this agreement was viewed as recognizing the need for urgent action. Second is that leaders from more than 100 countries, with about 85% of the world's forests, promised to stop deforestation by 2030. This is regarded as vital, as trees absorb a vast amount of CO2. Third is a scheme to cut 30% of methane emissions by 2030. It was agreed by more than 100 countries. Methane is currently responsible for a third of human-generated warming. The big emitters, China, Russia, and India, haven't joined, but we hope they will join later. Fourth is that world financial organizations agreed to back clean technology such as renewable energy and direct finance away from fossil fuel burning industries. I strongly urge the world leaders who made pledges and agreements at the summit to put them into action. Civil societies and ordinary citizens should watch carefully the leaders of their countries for implementation of the agreements. At the same time, we should utilize the market operation system to catalyze private companies to do their parts to reduce carbon emissions in meeting net zero targets. If they want to survive, they should channel investments on technologies that reduce carbon dioxide. At the same time, we need to support an international campaign for encouraging the ordinary citizens to select the environmentally friendly goods and services. And also we should change our daily life routines to make waste zero. Finally, it is imperative to keep temperature rises to 1.5 degrees Celsius. However, WMO, World Meteorological Organization, and the IPCC, in its most recent assessment report, warned that global temperature rise has already risen 1.1 degrees Celsius, leaving only 0.4 degrees Celsius. We must take all possible action to make sure that we keep global temperature rise within 0.4 degrees Celsius. That is why carbon neutrality 2050 is so crucially important. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for action. Let's move together toward saving our succeeding generations and the only planet we have. Thank you, and I wish every success of this conference. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Secretary General Ban. Last but not least, we have received a special message from Lars Løkke Rasmussen, the 25th and 27th Prime Minister of Denmark.
I am indeed honored to deliver this message on the opening of the 8th Seoul Climate Energy Conference. Of course, I would have preferred to be present at the conference in Korea, but it is less than a month ago I last returned from Korea, where I spoke at the HR Business Forum, so I hope you will forgive me for reaching out through the internet. But I can assure you that it is among my New Year's resolutions to be back in Korea next year if the corona pandemic allows me. It is particularly an honor to speak back to back with my friend, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, with whom I work closely together in the preparation of the COP15 in Copenhagen back in 2009. Where we actually managed to agree on the main architecture behind the later Paris Agreement. I am delighted that he had taken on the hard work, leading the Global Green Growth Institute after me. What started as a kind of loose idea, born in Korea, Mexico, and Denmark, is now turned into a full-fledged UN-recognized organization, assisting countries around the world implementing the green transition without jeopardizing economic growth and thereby prosperity and the well-being of their people. And this is crucial because we need to find a pathway where we can combine carbon neutrality and economic growth. If not, it will be impossible to ask countries and people, perhaps the majority of world's population, which still struggling with poverty, infant mortality, and illiteracy, to join the fight against climate change. We cannot ask them to refrain from the standard of living, which feels natural in countries as Korea and Denmark. So, ladies and gentlemen, greening the economy, whether it is in Korea or Denmark, in an economically sustainable way, is therefore truly walking the talk and leading by example. I therefore applaud the presence of all 4 presidential candidates on this occasion and interpret it as a strong signal of continued Korean leadership. Whatever outcome of the presidential election, I count on that and a continued strategic partnership between our 2 countries. Since my recent visit in Korea, and that was just a month ago, the Danish Parliament has agreed to establish an additional 2 gigawatt of offshore wind before the end of 2030. The expansion corresponds to the electricity consumption for approximately 2 million Danish households and take place on top of an already ambitious expansion of offshore. If you consider those, combined with the fact that last year, 2020, Danish wind turbines already delivered the equivalent of 46.1% of the Danish electricity consumption, you will realize that we soon, Denmark, will be more than self-sufficient. Therefore, we invest simultaneously in Power to X in order to expand the use of renewable energy. It is in many ways a success story. Since we constructed the world's first offshore wind farm 30 years ago in 1991, the Danish windmill adventure has decoupled CO2 emission and pollution from economic growth, and it has created more than 32,000 jobs. And now the technology has reached a maturity level where public subsidies is no longer needed. Therefore, we now stand ready to turn a new page in the fairy tale. And this fairy tale is better than any one written by Hans Christian Andersen, and is called energy islands. The energy islands mark the beginning of a new era for the generation of energy from offshore wind, aimed at creating a green energy supply for Danish and foreign electricity grids. Operating as green power plants at sea, the islands expect to play a major role in the phasing out of fossil-fueled energy sources in Denmark and Europe. The plan envisages the establishment of an artificial island in the North Sea that will serve as a hub for offshore wind farms supplying 3 gigawatt of energy, with a long-term expansion of potential of 10 gigawatt. The energy island in the Baltic Sea will be the island of Bornholm, where electrotechnical facilities on the island will serve as a hub for offshore wind farms off the coast, supplying 2 gigawatt of energy. With these energy islands, the turbines placed further away from the coast, and thereby they will have less impact on nature and environment, and at the same time they will serve as hubs that gather electricity from the surrounding offshore wind farms and distribute it to the energy grid in different regions and countries, giving households and businesses access to the green electricity. This allows electricity from an area with vast energy sources to be more easily routed to areas that need it most, while also ensuring that the energy generated from the turbines is utilized as efficiently as possible in terms of demands for electricity. Upscale power to X facilities can easily fit into this concept. I trust that Danish companies such as CIP, Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners, stands ready to share this new concept with Korea. Ladies and gentlemen, each country needs to find its own way forward, but no doubt, any country could benefit from a clear strategy for carbon neutrality and well-defined targets. I'm proud of the Green Growth Alliance between Korea and Denmark, established in 2009 during my first term in office. It already materialized in the establishment of GGGI, and my hope is that it can facilitate mutual inspiration and business-to-business cooperation as we are moving forward. In his opening remarks, Mr. Ban Ki-moon emphasized the importance of strong international cooperation. I could not agree more. There's simply no way around it. We must step up in our fight against climate change. It's not just a moral issue. The fact is, we do not own this planet, but have borrowed it from our children. It is in our own best interest. If we lose control, we will witness natural disasters. We will witness conflicts, battle for land and water, refugee flows that will destabilize our civilization. So it is time to wake up. It is time to respond. It is a personal responsibility. It is a corporate responsibility. It's a national and international responsibility. However, not everyone can wait for everyone. Denmark, as well as Korea, are doing our part, but we can do more. We can do more separately and together. So let us get started. Let us lead by example. I would like to thank President Lee Kwang-kwang of the Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, and my very special friend, Mr. Kim Sang-hyuk, founder of Coalition for Common Future, co-organizers of this conference, for inviting me. And I wish you all a fruitful conference. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Minister Rasmussen. With this, we end the opening ceremony of the 8th Annual Seoul Climate Energy Conference 2021. Thank you again for your full participation.